Let me play this clip. Watch this.
Trump or Kamala?
Kamala.
Why are you voting for Kamala?
Because Trump fucking sucks. Because she's trying to make the world a lot cheaper to live in. The amount of money that costs to just do anything keeps increasing so much.
So do you think that's Biden and Kamala's fault?
I think that's always been happening. How much things have cost has always been, like, increasing.
So you think Kamala's going to fix it, even though she's already been VP for 4 years?
What did Trump do?
I think he fixed it.
Did he?
Yeah, I think the economy was way better. Houses were cheaper, rent was cheaper, grocery prices were cheaper. What is Kamala's greatest achievement as VP?
I literally don't know. I have no idea.
You don't know anything she's done.
No, I don't.
But she's still the better choice.
Yes, because I know a lot of things that he has done.
Like, you know a lot of things about Trump that are negative?
Yeah. He's racist. He's sexist.
Okay, well, what has he done that's racist?
Specifically, I don't watch anything with Trump in it. I don't watch things politically.
Wow.
So you just have an opinion, but you don't really know why?
Yeah.
I beseech thee all. I hope and I pray that we make voting hard. Much, much, much harder. That woman should not be voting, okay?
I would agree.
She doesn't know. Listen, it is, what was it Mike Rowe said? Voting is dangerous. You have a right to own a gun, but guns are dangerous. And if someone is, they take a gun and they do something like they're screwing around with it, people can get hurt. If this woman goes and votes, she could literally be voting to figuratively set the curtains on fire because she has no idea what she's talking about. Why are we allowing people like that? Or I should say, not so much allowing, but why do we accept that as culturally, socially normal? That people who literally are like, I have no idea what's going on, but I'm voting for Kamala. Why do we accept that?
I think it's because the other option would be to have some small group of people decide who gets to and who doesn't get to.
Oh, but hold on,
not.
Ian. I got to.
No, it's not. Hold on.
Yeah.
The alternative is like, I don't know. You have to fill out a selective service before you vote.
Well, because Ian, here's the thing: the more uninformed people there are voting, the easier it is for a small handful of people to gain control over the country because they can just trick all of the dumb people into voting for them, basically.
I'm thinking way back when they started the Constitution and they decided we're going to let everyone that has stake in land vote. Like, why did they say everyone? Why did they say but not the stupid people that aren't paying attention? Because it's like you can't. Who gets to decide who's stupid and who's not paying attention? I mean, she admitted it,
but right. So you don't. You create a system by which it is much more difficult for those that are stupid to negatively impact the system. So the reason why to be a landowner to vote was because if you didn't live here, why are you voting on how we live? Like back in the day, let's say you've got 50 homes and farms. And all of the homeowners are coming together to determine how they're going to handle their local community. And they say, we live here. We're voting. Do you live here? No. Well, then you don't get to vote in how we live. That was basically your ID and proof of being part of the community. Now, I agree. The economy has changed. Population density has changed. We have people who rent. And so an ID perhaps is what you should have. I think in order to vote, you need an ID. But I got one real simple thing for you. I'm going to make it as easy as possible for everyone to vote, okay? You don't need an ID. No ID required. Okay, actually, that's kind of silly. You got to have an ID. But let's make it as easy as possible. Everybody's got an ID. That's fine. And when you walk in, they say, okay, here's the voting booth and here's your ballot. And they hand you a blank piece of paper. That's it.
Oh, I love that.
And you got to write down the position and the candidate who's running and spell it correctly. That's it. Because this woman's going to go and then she's like, I don't know, Kamala, and she's going to spell it wrong.
Spelling, though, is a tough one.
Don't care.
Just because someone didn't learn their grammar.
I think it would bring back the era of the political jingle because people would be spelling out their names to songs.
That's right.
It's a whole era of creativity we haven't tapped into. Or we just see a lot of people changing their names to something like, John Green, Sue... like Sue Black, like whatever it is, because
none of the above.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a weird time in American history, but
well, you just got to notice that all of the PSAs that tell people to get out and vote will go on and on about how voting is a civic responsibility and duty, but they will never ever tell you that staying informed on the issues is a civic responsibility and duty. And what I'm saying is voting is not a duty, voting is a privilege. Being informed on the issues is a duty, and you have to fulfill that duty before you vote.
Maybe a small questionnaire. I mean, the vast majority of young people can't even tell you what two countries border the USA. It's just a small questionnaire of simple questions to allow people to, move forward and vote.
I think there's potentially something there, but the issue then is who gets to make the questions.
Right, exactly.
And then what they can do is they can say, Let's do an AI aggregation of common questions Republicans fail and Democrats don't, and use that as the basis by how you vote. And then you can manipulate. I think blank ballot. You know why? Well, look, it's even, right? Hey, look, all you got to do is know who you're voting for and what they're running for. That's fair, isn't it? Tell me why. Explain to me why we should not have a blank ballot. Give me one good reason why blank ballot is not fair.
Because illiterate people should still have a right to vote.
How do they know what box they're
you
checking?
think an illiterate person is going to look at a paper ballot and not be able to read? And what are they voting for if they can't read the paper ballot?
Just the letter K or the letter D, like Kamala or Donald, and then they'll know. Like they might not be able to spell, but they'll be able to recognize the word.
But the position, no, I disagree.
I don't agree that illiterate
someone
people
might
should be
look
voting,
might see Donald and think it says Democrat and vote for the wrong person. That's not fair, is it? So if someone is illiterate and can't vote, too effing bad. What do we do for that?
Well, like the spelling thing's risky because if a guy's name's John and they don't put an H,
Yep.
that's a fail. But
Sayonara.
you better. A lot of people named John. That's a
fair.
lot of mistakes.
But it's fair. It doesn't matter if you're a Democrat or Republican. Anyone can misspell John.
I'm kind of like, if you don't know how to do math, you're get out of my sight kind of guy.
But look,
I
here's
think
my
that's a bit
point.
extreme for voting.
My point is this. There is nothing unfair about a blank ballot. Nothing. You say maybe they misspell, maybe they can't spell. Okay, so illiteracy is not a political position. It's completely fair that everyone is required to know who they're voting for and what position they're running for. And here's the best part. Republicans will win every single election if we did that.
Because of better education?
Because Republicans tend to pay attention more. And I don't want to even say Republicans, but people who are voting Republican now. So libertarians would win every other race. The two parties in this country would be libertarian and Republican.
I have to go back to Ian saying, I'm a if you can't do math, get out of my sight guy. Because now I'm just picturing you at a restaurant as someone's trying to like calculate the tip and you're like, get out of here.
Oh, man. People that are illiterate, sorry, I'm a little extreme with like who I surround myself with. And if people are not stupid, but ignorant, I get they slow things down with their lack of knowledge. It's kind of like, I'm kind and open and I can tolerate people. But if you're not aware and engaged in learning, I'm just like,
Ian's biased against people with dyscalculia.
yeah, dyscalculia, dyspelia, whatever you want to call it.
Dyslexia.
Learn, buddy.
Dyscalculia is when they look at numbers and they can't order them properly. Just like with dyslexia, they might see letters and they can't read them left to right properly or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
They have text that they made that is on computers, which is easier for people with dyslexia to read.
Interesting.
But the point is this, right now, they would say, like, the illiteracy is not an argument for a blank ballot because everybody has to read the ballot. That's it. So but they can read, but they can't write. What?
Well, they might.
I think something like that's
reject
good,
that.
but here's the unfortunate reality, and I think this is just ridiculous and a dirty tactic, but trying to have any kind of educational standard for whether people vote is immediately going to be called racist because poll tests were used for racist reasons, and because standards were at one time in one circumstance racist, that means having any standards for voters of any kind for the rest of history is also racist.
The funny thing, though, is what you were saying about the jingle and changing your name is everyone would literally just change their names to like Tim Pool or something.
Well, it's funny
AD
because
Vance.
one of the people
know
in
about
chat,
that, but yeah.
one of the people in chat was like Vivek Ramaswamy would be done.
No, he'd change his name to like V. He would change his name to Vivek, and it would be like Vivek. You're done. But they would do jingle commercials. I still don't care. I literally don't care if it's Vivek or anybody else. If you are voting and you don't even know the name of the person you're voting for, your vote doesn't count. That is insane to me. That someone's going to walk into a polling booth and they're going to be like, here's a person whose name is Jack Smith. No idea who that is, but they get my vote.
Well, it probably come from back when they would have crowds of people and the two candidates would be like, vote for me. And the other guy would be like, well, actually, vote for me. And you're like, I like that one. I'm voting for that guy. You didn't have to read or write.
That's not true.
150 years ago, people didn't really know how to
150
read
years
or
ago,
write.
you had to go to a polling station and write down the person's name yourself. And so what the parties would do is they would issue papers with people's names on it to the citizens being like, this is a list of the people you should vote for if you support us. Then they would go in and write down those names and submit them. That's how it works.
The idea that is too much to ask in order
Seriously.
to participate in selecting the leaders of the most powerful nation on the planet is ludicrous.
Like in Greece, they would, 2,000 years ago, they'd have a black stone and a white stone, and you just put whatever color stone you wanted in to vote for your candidate or vote for your idea, because they probably didn't have literacy.
Then one time they got 8,000 stones at midnight. They're like, it's crazy.
They're all painted
heavier
black.
than-
They
Looks
were
like
originally
I
white.
win.
No, it's just the funny thing is the guy carrying the rocks struggling to bring the mail-in votes in.
I just collected these from my friends.
3 a.m, all these rocks we found.
Is there a way to like write down the names of the people, but it doesn't matter if it's spelled exactly right?
No.
That might be better.
Gotta spell it right. Don't care.
That's tough.
Literally don't care.
Because literacy isn't part of being able to vote.
Look, man.
It totally
But
should
it could
be.
be.
It totally should be.
It's like what the
Bro.
British English library. You got to learn that and memorize that to participate in the system.
I gotta say, it would also be one thing if, man, I mean, I'm about to walk back what I was about to say, because I was gonna say we have an educational system that teaches people how to read and write, but we actually don't. We really don't.
I was gonna say we don't need any reason to deter people from becoming literate. I think that's a good goal.
Yeah.
How does it make sense in any other system to allow people to vote on how those systems function? Okay, so I work at a hydroelectric plant, and I was hired to run it. I know how all the systems work, and I'm in charge. And then, let's put it to a vote. Okay, there's an emergency. The alarm's going off. Let's put it to a vote to what to do. Janitors, what say you? The janitors might be like, look, man, I can make this place shine like you've never seen it shine before. But these guys don't know how to run a hydroelectric plant. Why do they get a say in how it runs? That's insane.
Basically, they're voting for electors. That's what we have in our system, too, is you're voting for electors. You're not actually voting for Donald Trump directly.
Yeah, the founding fathers are smart people. They were like, they created layer upon layer to make sure that there were smarter people who were well informed on how these things run, who were in charge while still keeping some democratic element of it.
So if the electors could use discernment and say, I got 81% of the votes spelled correctly for Donald Trump and 19% of the votes were incorrect. So I, as an elector, can decide not to acknowledge the 19% of the incorrect, or I could use discernment, but then you're kind of leaving it up to how the guy feels.
Well, it depends on if there's an official policy there for that type of thing.
There's so many ways to misspell a word, like John, for sure. Like it's one of the most common name in English.
I guess my point is you would just have to have a standardized policy. Like you would either be in a county or state or municipality that counts ballots that are spelled incorrectly or doesn't. But it could not be up to the discernment of whoever happens to be counting
The
vote.
ballot counter, that would be way worse.
Yeah.
Do you think that people are motivated to vote this year, or do you think they're, more likely to stay at home?
I think people are motivated because everybody's almost hyper radicalized. It seems more tribal this time around. So I feel like people are really charged up to vote, which I think actually plays well for Donald Trump.
Tribal on both sides?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, there's a small percentage of people that I feel like do their own research and but there's also people that just, they follow their confirmation bias wherever they go. It doesn't matter. It's like the girl in that clip. She's just repeating what 1 or 2 or 3 of her friends told her. That's why she can't give any, actually examples for what she's, what she believes. And that's a lot of people. I had a friend recently, and I say recently, it's about 6 months ago. And, they knew me from YouTube, and they said they really wanted to move down south because they live in like LA and they hate it there. It's awful. They hate it. They hate having to be fake. They're in the entertainment industry, and they have to parade around like repeating the same weird kind of like extreme leftist positions to try to get promotions and job opportunities in the entertainment industry. Yeah. She said that people would just walk up and just say things like open conversations about how Donald Trump's racist, just randomly. And that's how you would go about these situations to try to get job opportunities. But they said they wanted to move, down south, and they are not white. So they were like, well, I'm just terrified I'll go down south, I'll get to Alabama or Tennessee, and like people will kill me for being, Hispanic or something. And I'm like, you've definitely never been anywhere around. For one, these places are extremely diverse. And 2, it's not 1862.
Yeah.
And it's all because it's repeated in popular media.
Yeah, I had a really woke white friend tell me something similar. She had wanted to move, and she was like, but I could never go anywhere in the South because they're all homophobic and racist. And I was like, but have you ever spent any time in the South? And she's like, no, I haven't. I just know this.
Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.